What's going on, everyone? GoodMicWork commentaries back at you with episode 535. This is going to be your full WrestleMania 35 weekend review and discussion. Man, another WrestleMania is in the books, y'all. I am exhausted. I've got a lot to say before we start discussing what we're going to get into tonight, but just so you know what to expect in this episode, I'm going to discuss it all. I'm going to talk about NXT Takeover, the Hall of Fame. I'm going to review all of WrestleMania, talk about Monday Night Raw and the SmackDown after Mania. We're going to get into everything here, but before we do, I just want to say a few things. I want to give you a schedule update, and I want to talk about the WrestleMania weekend as a whole. First thing I want to let you know about, because there is going to be so much information in this video, I'm going to put some timestamps down below. So just check the description if you want to bounce around a little bit, but my upcoming schedule for the next few days will be as follows. I have been mentioning in my last couple of live streams that I am set to go on a couple of trips here. I'm going on vacation with my family to Hawaii for a week, but before I go there, I've got to hop on a plane tomorrow for Denver. I will be back this coming Monday for my Monday Night Raw live stream as usual, which happens to be the Superstar Shakeup, so that should be a really fun show to react to, but immediately after that, on Tuesday morning, I hop on a plane and head to Hawaii for a week. So this will really be my last podcast for about 2 weeks. While I'm gone, all you're going to get is my live stream next Monday and one Patreon donation video that I have already done that I'm just waiting to release while I'm gone. And I'm going to try to sprinkle around a few mic drops while I'm gone as well. And if I can pull it off, I'm not sure if I can, while I'm in Hawaii, I might try to come up and do some sort of a quick video or maybe a quick live stream. I'll have plenty of time, free time. It's a lot of relaxing when it comes to my family. And I'm sure I can find time to duck out or go out to the beach somewhere and record a little hello video or something like that. I don't know. No promises on that, but maybe that's something that I can do. And despite all of this time out of town, I'm only going to miss one Monday Night Raw live stream. It'll be the night of the 22nd. So hopefully it will not feel like I'm gone that long, just missing the one Monday night, and I do have a couple of videos planned while I'm gone, and that should do a pretty sufficient job of holding you guys over until I get back. Until then, make sure you follow me over on Twitter at GoodMicWork. I'll be tweeting and talking the whole time while I'm gone, and I might even be bored a couple of times if I am with family, or if people are annoying me and I want to get away and just do a Q&A on social media or something like that. I'd love to chat with you over there. So that's pretty much the deal with my schedule. Just keep that in mind over the next couple of weeks, that things will be just a little bit different until I get back. As far as this past weekend goes, WrestleMania 35 weekend, I want to thank everybody that has been spending time with me all week long during WrestleMania. Going all the way back to last Monday, April 1st, there's been a new video on my channel every day in the spirit of WrestleMania season. I did an April Fool's video. I did 3 separate classic WrestleMania match watch-alongs. I did a predictions video. I did an NXT Takeover live review. And of course, I reacted to the entire WrestleMania pay-per-view on Sunday, totaling about 7 hours of live streaming. And then you follow that up with 3 more hours the following night on Monday Night Raw. That was 10 hours of live streaming within the span of 24 hours. So it's been busy on the YouTube channel, and I want to thank everybody for spending time with me this year. I really enjoy WrestleMania season every year. The kid in me just comes out. I cannot express to you guys enough what it feels like to be a person that has watched these things from the very first one. I was like 9 years old during the first WrestleMania. I attended WrestleMania 3. I remember after the show, I had to wait like 3 months for that show to come out on VHS for me to even be able to see it. And I had a little local video rental store. There wasn't even like a Blockbuster. It was just a little mom and pop place that I believe only ordered like 1 copy of WrestleMania 3, and I had to put my name on a waiting list. I was like the 5th or 6th name on the list. So even when the VHS tape came out, 5 people got to rent it for like 3 days each before me. It took forever to finally get my hands on it. And just to have those memories of WrestleMania on closed circuit, having to claw and scratch in a video rental store to get my hands on a copy of a wrestling show that I attended 3 months prior, watching my first ever WrestleMania on pay-per-view by having to travel to another person's house because they're the only ones that had cable that supported pay-per-view at WrestleMania 4. So for me to have all of these memories as a kid of all these WrestleManias and the way not only WrestleMania itself has evolved, but how I've watched the show has evolved. And now you fast forward 35 years and here I am watching the show on something called the internet in front of thousands of people is just something that would blow 10-year-old Greg Morgan's mind. And it's just a time that I hold very dear, and I thought it was a lot of fun, despite the fact that we sometimes have good WrestleManias, we sometimes have bad ones. the overall Super Bowl of wrestling type of feel, the celebration of wrestling, how much fun it is and how jacked I get for it and my interactions with all of you. It reminds me why I do this and why I enjoy wrestling so much. And it was great to spend time with all of you and all of my listeners and all of my fans. And you guys were so gracious and fun and kind and generous, my God, with the super chats and all of that shit. I can't thank you enough. You guys truly keep this channel going. You know, without you, I wouldn't be doing this at all. So thank you for spending yet another WrestleMania with me since I've been doing these commentaries and podcasts now. I believe this is my 9th WrestleMania that I have experienced with you guys, and that is pretty crazy. So thank you to everyone who's been with me for a long time. And for you new listeners, make sure you subscribe if you have not yet already. Also, hit me with a thumbs up. This is going to be the last podcast on the channel for a couple of weeks. If you could really get those thumbs up for me, I would appreciate it because that stuff really does help the growth of the channel. If you hate YouTube and you don't want to watch me over here, head on over to my website, GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com. You can download this podcast episode completely for free, or if you have the Spotify, Stitcher Radio, or iTunes apps, you can find me over there. So now that all of that stuff is out of the way, let's dive in to WrestleMania 35 weekend. Holy shit. Now, I am running out of time. I got to hop on an airplane here in just a few hours, so I don't have all night to record this podcast. So I'm going to have to go relatively quick here, even though we have a lot to talk about. Let's talk about NXT Takeover first. This past Friday, this was an amazing card, one of my favorite takeovers. Now, for me, all the takeovers are so great that they run together. I have never once even been slightly disappointed with an NXT takeover. And this pay-per-view was no different. And I think this was one of the more solid takeovers because I truly felt that every single match on this card was good, real good. In takeovers past, we have had an occasion where one match on the card is just kind of a dud. It's happened a couple of times. Even though main events and everything are off the fucking hook, we have had a couple of takeovers like that. I didn't feel as if this takeover was one of those shows. I enjoyed every single match. And the funny thing is everybody talks about, NXT guys just want to work real hard to outshine WWE's pay-per-view, do better than WrestleMania. If you ask me, the NXT guys' motivation was to outdo the Ring of Honor New Japan show in the Garden the next night. I mean, there was a lot of competitive emotions running through that locker room, I'm sure. And TakeOver was just incredible. I think NXT is the most enjoyable pro wrestling brand out there for the wrestling fan. I mean, these matches are crazy, y'all. Show opened up with a fucking balls crazy tag team match with the War Raiders retaining the NXT titles over Black and Ricochet. It was the second of 3 title matches within the span of 6 days that Black and Ricochet would receive. This match was great. Mauro Ranallo made this thing even more enjoyable than it was. He is so important to NXT. You can really tell when he's not there. You can feel the difference. There's been a couple of takeovers, I think, where he has not been on the call because of prior obligations. Glad to see him here. Glad to see him freaking out. He was so damn hilariously entertaining, and I love you, Mauro Ranallo. You are a goddamn saint. But I liked the match overall because all 4 of these guys are beasts, and it was an amazing ride and a great way to open up the show. I loved the show of respect after the match. Everybody shook hands. It was great, and it was kind of Aleister Black and Ricochet's goodbye to the NXT audience, and it was a nice moment at the end. Fantastic match. The only match I predicted wrong on the entire NXT TakeOver card was Velveteen Dream beating Matt Riddle. I thought that Velveteen could win only because I thought maybe it was a little bit too early for Riddle to grab a singles title like this. And plus, you can always do a rematch down the road and give him the win then. So I thought a Velveteen Dream victory was possible, but I still picked Matt Riddle. I see dollar signs in this guy. Matt Riddle is a controversial figure. You have a lot of, you have 2 sides of the debate amongst wrestling fans. I see a lot of people think he's money and other people think that he's overrated and he sucks. And I don't see too many people in the middle. Which is weird to me. I think if I have to join one camp, if I can't be in the middle and I have to be on one side or the other, I see money in Matt Riddle. I think he can be a huge star. I think he's got a lot of markability to him, and he's going to do great things one day. And I'm perfectly fine with him dropping this match here. It was kind of a quick pin, easy way to set up a rematch with Velveteen scoring that pinfall like that, giving Riddle his first loss. So in hindsight, I'm perfectly happy being wrong about that prediction, and it was a big win for Velveteen, and I guess we're going to have to wait a little while longer to see him on the main roster, and like I said, no fucking rush. How old is Velveteen Dream? 16? He's got plenty of time, and we've already had a lot of call-ups come up recently since last month or whatever it was. We've had a handful of guys come up, maybe close to 10 in total. men and women. So don't rush anything, especially if you don't have anything for him to do, and let his title run play out a little while longer. Maybe he drops it to Riddle at the next takeover, or maybe even in the summer, and then you do something with Velveteen Dream on the main roster. So for me personally, I am in no rush to see Velveteen hit the main roster. He had a big win here at TakeOver, which was great for him. His title run continues, and his legacy in NXT continues. And one day he'll be on the main roster. We know that. I think everybody should just chill out on that. In one of the most fun matches on the card, like I said, every match on this card was great. I thought Velveteen and Riddle was going to be the match of the night as I was watching it. I enjoyed it. And I was like, wow, how is anybody going to top this? Well, Pete Dunne and Walter may have. Jesus Christ. I think the pre-match conversation backstage in catering a couple of hours before the show was Pete Dunne approaching Walter and saying, hey, Walter, what do you want to do tonight? And Walter says, why don't we just beat the fuck out of each other for half an hour? And Pete Dunne says, cool, see you out there. To me, that's the way it went. Because damn, I don't know how either one of these guys weren't hospitalized after this match. It was fun. I predicted Walter to win. I was happy to be right because I feel like Pete Dunne has done everything he can. I mean, 2+ years or whatever it is as NXT UK champion. He's done it all. It's time to pass the torch. Walter's a monster. And I think if you put him in a big match like this and have him lose, Walter doesn't have too many places to go to get beat by a guy half his size when he's being built and billed as a monster. So I think the right call was made here. Very happy to see Walter win the title. Very crazy finish with the top rope powerbomb, which reminded me of the top rope powerbomb Candido took from Jannetty back at the Survivor Series in '95. Just something about it was similar, but Pete Dunne sailed halfway across the ring, and then Walter nailed him with the frog splash and got the pin. Great match. Congrats to Walter. I was entertained. Shayna Baszler, in what many people thought was a shocker, retained in the Fatal 4-Way match. I predicted her to retain. I was surprised that so many people were surprised. I think a lot of people felt that she would drop the belt here and get moved up to the main roster. If WWE is going to do the 4 horsewomen angle that they've been teasing, it might be time for that. But Baszler, I feel, has gone on such a run now and had the title for so long that I don't mind her losing. And this is one of the pay-per-views that I thought she could drop the belt on. But it's just a personal preference of mine, so I'm not saying it should be one way or the other. But for me personally, when you have a champion that's been on a run like this, I prefer them to drop the belt in one-on-one scenarios over Fatal 4-Ways. I'm not saying Fatal 4-Way title changes are wrong or anything like that. It's fine. I don't mind them. But for Baszler, I think when she loses the title, it should be a little bit bigger deal, and I think somebody should beat her. You know, you have to, pass that torch. I know she's beaten just about everybody there, but that doesn't mean she has to drop the title and leave. You know, it's like you give somebody a 6-month run, and they're like, oh, I'm tired of Baszler already. Why are you tired of her? Explain to me the downside of giving someone a long title run and building a legacy as a badass, especially if she is going to move up to the main roster. I think the longer her title run, the better. Now, that didn't mean anything for Asuka. Hell, Asuka left NXT as champion because she forfeited the belt after the injury. So she never even lost the belt. She never even passed the torch. And we saw how Asuka wound up. But still, with Baszler, I just personally feel, and it's fine if you don't feel this way, but I personally feel it would be more fun if somebody beat her clean for the belt. A lot of people say, oh, well, if she loses in the Fatal 4-Way, it keeps her strong. Who cares? She can afford to lose a match. You know, the fans have this weird mentality. It's like last year when Asuka lost her first match in 2.5 years. People thought she was buried. I'm like, you know what? You're allowed to lose one. If you're undefeated for 2 years or whatever it is, you can lose a match. And with Baszler, it's the same thing. If she goes on a big enough run and somebody beats her, it's no big deal. She's not buried. She's fine. I think she can hit the main roster just as important and just as strong with a loss, you know, provided it's booked okay. And on top of that, believe it or not, I trust NXT. Call me crazy, but I don't know if you've been watching the same NXT I am, but I've had very few reasons to complain and criticize and question the booking decisions of NXT. We are given the most amazing wrestling pay-per-views in the entire business a couple times a year by this brand, and it's nice to see storylines and matches and angles built with importance and built what fans consider to be in the right way in NXT. So if they've got an idea of what to do with Baszler here, I'm going to trust them. You know, it amazes me that arguably the best overall wrestling brand out there right now, we still have fans that have to pick apart every single booking decision. And I do not think having Shayna Baszler retain here was negative in any way at all. I just think fans are mad that she won and they're tired of her and they want other people to get a shot and all that bullshit. I just don't understand why everybody's in such a hurry. I am not. The wrestling business ain't going anywhere, and why anybody would be in a hurry for somebody from NXT to go to the main roster where more often than not, you're completely ruined when you get there is beyond me. So the longer people stay in NXT, the better. And for all I care, Baszler can stick around there for another year. Yeah, that's right. 365 fucking days. Stay there. See if I care. Main event had a lot to follow. They had some big shoes to fill. The matches all night long during TakeOver were great. And not only did Gargano and Cole follow the great matches that we saw on TakeOver, they exceeded all of them tenfold. My God, what a match. 2 out of 3 falls for the vacant NXT championship. I was heartbroken and gutted about what happened to Tommaso Ciampa. Such an unfortunate situation, and it sucks that we couldn't get this payoff between him and Gargano. WWE or NXT shuffled things around and came up with this Gargano and Cole match when Cole, I believe, won the Fatal 5-Way or whatever it was. And man, this was good. They started slow because they were going to be going on a roll at the end of the match. But I believe Cole got the first fall, putting Gargano down 2-1. So he's in an uphill battle pretty much the entire match, which has been the entire story of Johnny Gargano since he's been on the NXT roster, and especially his inability to win the big one. And here he is. Now he's down 1-0, and we get everything here. After he ties up the match 1-1, we get all of Undisputed Era hit in the ring. This is now a 4-on-1 handicap match. All 3 guys are beating the shit out of Gargano, hitting him with their finishers, and Gargano is kicking out of one ass kicking after another. It's incredible. Not only is he fending off Undisputed Era, but when Cole catches him in the ring a few times, he still kicks out time and time and time again. If anybody named John Cena or Roman Reigns did this, the fans would cancel their WWE network. But Gargano was superhuman. It was incredibly dramatic. It was incredibly exciting. Nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat type of shit. I was marking out, yelling in my apartment by myself. It was one of my favorite NXT main events of all time when Gargano finally gets the win, taps out Adam Cole, the crowd goes nuts, he gets the celebration, and I want to ask you guys, when I think of Johnny Gargano matches and I think of the greatest NXT main events in TakeOver history, I think of like Gargano and Andrade, and I think of Gargano and Ciampa, wrapping the knee brace around Ciampa's face. That was great. So of those 3 matches, what do you think is the best? Did you like this one the best? I put up a Twitter poll right after TakeOver. What was your match of the night? And Gargano and Cole was an overwhelming favorite. I mean, it was like 70%, and then 15 to Velveteen and Riddle and 15 to Dunn and Walter. I mean, it was just a runaway. So everybody felt that hands down, this was the match of the night. I think some people might have enjoyed other matches more. Some people told me they did enjoy Velveteen and Riddle. And I did as well. Like I said, I enjoyed every match. I think every match could be a candidate to be the best match on the card, but Cole and Gargano far exceeded anything I thought they were capable of doing. We knew it was going to be a good match. We knew that. We knew it was going to be NXT TakeOver main event quality. I just didn't think it would be quite this good. This exceeded the expectations I had for it, and my expectations were high, and that's the most amazing thing. So as usual, and as no surprise, NXT TakeOver was amazing, and I cannot say enough great things about this pay-per-view. An excellent way to kick off the weekend. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame that took place last Saturday before WrestleMania. Now, the Hall of Fame used to take place on the Saturday before Mania, but last year WWE changed it, and this year they moved it back. And I guess that was because they didn't want TakeOver going head-to-head with the MSG show. The Hall of Fame is another part of the weekend that I very much enjoy. It's one of my favorite nights of the year, and I usually try to put all of the controversy aside. I try not to get too caught up in why is this person going in before that person type of debates when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Look, we all know the Hall of Fame is bullshit. We all know it's a bunch of WWE officials in a room deciding on names, and a lot of us are wondering where certain names are, but I'm usually patient enough where as long as it's not a too little too late scenario, like with Jim Neidhart or Vader or a lot of other people that pass away and aren't able to accept their induction before they die. Aside from those, as long as everybody's alive, I don't really care when they go in. So I very much want, guys like Rick Martel, to go in, but I might just have to wait on him. And there's a whole bunch of deceased wrestlers right now that need to go in, but I don't know if you can have an entire Hall of Fame class of all guys that have passed away, like Bam Bam Bigelow and Davey Boy Smith and Brian Pillman and guys like that. So there's just so many guys that we still need to get in there, but I'm trying not to let too much of that bother me and try to just enjoy the Hall of Fame for what it is. Not sure if I'm really a big fan of the new format. We did hear rumors that there was going to be a new format this year for the Hall of Fame. X-Pac alluded to that on a podcast a few weeks back, and there was some talk about WWE shortening things up. Apparently, Hillbilly Jim is the cause of all of this. This Hall of Fame was definitely more streamlined, and I don't know if I really liked the setup with the ring. It was very different. Now, in recent years, they basically just been setting up like a Raw or SmackDown set and have the inductions take place up on the stage there, and then everybody just kind of sits in front of it. And I thought that was kind of lazy. You know, if it was up to me, here's what I'd do with the Hall of Fame. I'd keep it small. I would not do it in these big buildings. Go back to what you did in 2004. That was great. When Bobby Heenan went in and Jesse and Harley Race and that big class that they put in to make up for all the lost time in 2004, that's the way I would do the Hall of Fame. Or set it up the way they did the Slammy Awards in the 80s and the 90s, just in a little banquet hall with the wrestlers and the wrestlers' families and friends, and that's it. You can still have a larger arena. It doesn't have to be intimate like 100 people. You can have 500 people there. You can have 1,000 people there. But I don't think it needs to be in a big arena. And with the new setup that WWE is doing with this ring, it's set up like a TV event, but there's no guardrail around the ring. There's only 3 of the 4 sides have ring ropes around them. There's a podium in the middle of the ring where the speeches will take place. And everybody still dresses up and looks nice and everything, but now the audience is 360 degrees around the podium and the person talking. And I just didn't like the fact that people were behind the inductees. You know, the New Day was hilariously on camera on the hard cam all night long, but they had to watch the Hall of Fame watching all of the inductors' backs. That had to be boring for them. So it's always hard to get used to new things. Maybe this will grow on me. I'm actually all for WWE changing up the Hall of Fame set because, like I said, I thought they were getting a little bit lazy with it. But I'm not sure if I really like this so much. As far as the speeches go, they definitely were shorter. Some people had inductors and some people didn't. The Hall of Fame opened up with the Honky Tonk Man. He had Jimmy Hart inducting him. The speech was okay. Again, it wasn't that long. I wasn't a huge Honky Tonk Man fan, never really have been. He was very gracious and accepting in his speech. I don't know why he wore that dumbass jumpsuit out there. He would wear a suit the next night to WrestleMania during the Hall of Fame segment. But I think he should have maybe not worn the Elvis suit. He could still do the hair and everything. But I just didn't think the suit was necessary. He looked a little bit stupid, in my opinion. Brutus Beefcake was also another induction that was just kind of meh. Hulk Hogan did come out to induct Brutus. And Brutus was over back in the day, but I think his induction fell a little bit flat. He didn't get that much of a response from the audience. Told a couple of cute stories, but really nobody cared. So Honky and Brutus I could have completely done without. My heart warmed for Tori Wilson. I really liked her speech. Poor girl, lost her father just a couple of days ago. Al Wilson passed away. And she had to come out and do this induction and this Hall of Fame right after that. I think she died, or I think he died 2 days before the Hall of Fame, which is just horrible. Heart goes out to Tori, and we all love you. And she told a pretty gut-wrenching story from her middle school days when she was humiliated by a boy and how that really motivated her. And she had a lot of nice things to say. And, people debated whether or not she should go in and everything, but everybody liked Tori. You know, she was a big part of the show. Like I said, she was on more pay-per-view posters than the Honky Tonk Man. I'm totally fine with her going in, and I thought she had a very lovely speech, and she looked amazing. Harlem Heat, very entertaining as well. Stevie Ray told some really good stories about how they got in, basically chronicled their whole career. And Booker T was hilarious like he always is. They had a really fun induction. And then there is the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart going into the Hall of Fame. They did not have an inductor. They just had a video package. Bret Hart and Natalya came out to accept on the Hart Foundation's behalf. They played the old school original Hart Foundation music, which there ain't a bigger Bret Hart fan walking the face of this earth than yours truly. Solomonster might be able to challenge me, but I still think I have him beat. Bret was my guy, and so was the Hart Foundation, and I loved him even back when they were heels. And this was important to me personally as a wrestling fan. And honestly, I don't care who was up there. What we were about to see makes my blood boil to an extent that cannot even be described. Bret Hart is up there accepting the speech with Natty, and he's telling stories, and he's giving his speech when he is attacked, assaulted from behind by a complete bag of shit fan that dives in the ring and tackles Bret Hart. And I'm watching this live. The camera immediately goes dark. They immediately cut away from it in the truck. They then went to a shot of the audience. And the whole time I knew something was happening because you saw the fan. The camera cut away, but you still saw the fan grab a hold of Bret Hart. So while the camera is off of what's happening here, I'm losing my mind because I'm thinking, did he get stabbed? Did he get shot? You know, what happened? I'm sure security ran in there and are breaking it up, but if that guy has a weapon, he definitely put his hands on Bret, and Bret Hart could be in some serious trouble here. So I had about 30 seconds of some pretty severe panicking because I didn't know what was happening. Finally, the cameras go back to the ring. Everybody is in the ring. I mean, you got wrestlers all over the place. The New Day, everybody around ringside, Ronda Rousey and Travis Brown were in the ring. Everybody was trying to, help out Bret, get him up. And because it wasn't shown on camera, you go over to Twitter and now you start getting cell phone footage all over the place of the incident. The fan actually tackles Bret, takes him down. Bret Hart is a cancer survivor and a stroke survivor. And this stupid piece of inbred shit jumps in the ring and tackles him. And he got a few shots in of his own from some of the boys. And there was a lot of footage of guys really taking some shots on him. Dash Wilder caught him with a sweet-ass uppercut as they're dragging his dumb ass out of the building. Looked like the New Day were the first ones to hit the ring. I mean, nobody hesitated. Props and kudos to all the boys and girls. It wasn't just men jumping in that ring. Not one single person hesitated for a minute. Kofi Kingston, who's about to win the title in less than 24 hours and has his kids with him, was in that ring in seconds to protect Bret Hart. So was Travis Brown, who came to the defense of professional wrestling, a business that he's not even in. Thank you to him for being there as well. Thank you to Ronda Rousey. She was about to take her heels off and her earrings off and stick her foot up that guy's ass. So thank you to everybody that jumped in there and protected my favorite wrestler and protected the ceremony and protected Bret and Natalya. Natalya was in danger too. She was up there. So it was an extremely scary moment. And I don't know now if this is going to affect WWE's setup in Hall of Fames in the future, because with the old setup, that would not have happened. That fan would not have reached Bret Hart with the old setup. It's uncomfortable to me to have people behind them. And I'm just not sure if I'm a fan of it. I think security could have done a better job, but that fan had a clear path. There was no guardrail. He just had to run straight into the ring. So I don't care how much security you have there. You don't have time to react to that. Thank God he wasn't crazy. Thank God he wasn't armed. He could have stabbed Bret or done something serious to him. And that would have put a huge black mark on what is supposed to be a celebration of wrestling. So that was a scary moment. The Hall of Fame felt a little bit off and clunky and weird at times, and this didn't help. It was very uncomfortable. But like I said, props to everybody that jumped in there and helped Bret and defended Bret. Props to everybody that got their own live round in on that bag of fuck that jumped in the ring. I just wish they would have taken him to the back and had their way with him. I mean, if this would have been 1981 or something and this would have happened, I'm not sure if this guy's family would have been able to identify him in the hospital. That's how bad it would have been for him. He would have been taken out to the parking lot and beaten into the pavement. But now he's been arrested. He's being charged. I'm not even going to say the fucker's name and give him the publicity, but he is being charged with assault and a couple of other counts. So hopefully he does or gets some severe punishment here, does some jail time. I just hope he lives a miserable rest of his life. And there's a nice special place in hell for a douchebag of this caliber. And I wish you nothing but the worst in your life. I hope the worst luck that a human being can possibly fathom lands right on your face for the duration of your miserable life. Fuck you. But Bret Hart, because he's a fucking boss, picked himself right back up. He had a portion of his hair that was drifting off to the side that was driving me and my girlfriend crazy as we were watching this event. But he gathered himself and, like the pro that he is, continued with his speech. Now, Bret Hart was also using a teleprompter, and I don't know the details on this, but from what I could gather from what I observed, it looked to me like WWE included the teleprompter this year as an option because some people were using it, some people weren't. Bret Hart It did feel like he was reading a little bit. It felt a little bit less genuine than his 2006 speech where he told a lot of stories. But I think that was because of WWE's format change. I think they told these guys to script what you're going to say. They don't want you to ramble too much. And they might have been putting some time limits on this. So Brett, I believe, wrote every word that he said, but he was using the teleprompter to read them so he didn't maybe tell too many stories or trail off or get off topic or anything like that. All those things that you can do. But Bret Hart still had a great speech. He said a lot of nice things. I always enjoy Bret's little quotes and like little things like that. I always take away little quotes from Bret. I don't know why. I don't know where he reads them or where he finds them, but they always inspire me because I'm a Bret Hart guy. But I thought he did very well rebounding from the attack. And he finished up his speech and wrapped up his speech very well. They played a video of Jim the Anvil Neidhart on the screen, and it was great. I will also say that I did enjoy D-Generation X's Hall of Fame speech more than I thought I would. I thought the shit they did with Vince McMahon was so fucking funny. That was great. They trolled the hell out of him. I'm certain that he didn't know about that. If anybody has the stroke to be able to rib Vince like that, it's Triple H. And we have heard the stories how Vince does not want his name mentioned at the Hall of Fame. And I would like to get a Vince count on DX's speech, and I would like to see how many times his name was said. It had to have been 50 times. Hilarious. How about the 2 All Elite Wrestling references by Triple H to Billy Gunn? At one point when they were talking about people getting fired, he told Billy Gunn that they would buy, WWE would buy that pissant company. Pissant company. Interesting choice of words. They would buy that company just so they could fire Billy again, which was funny. And then later on, I actually can't remember if it was Triple H or Shawn, somebody mentioned the words all in. So that was pretty cool coming from the head of WWE, Triple H, acknowledging competition that now exists with All Elite Wrestling. I like that a lot. And Billy Gunn, of course, has a job over there, and here he is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everybody, every single member of DX got a chance to speak, and every member of DX got a chance to talk about China, including Triple H. They all said very nice words about her. China's family was there. I know her sister was there, potentially her mother as well. Triple H addressed her personally and looked right at Joni's sister. X-Pac really struggled through his speech. It seemed like he was very nervous and very emotional, and he was struggling with the China stuff as well. He was even making fun of himself that he was having trouble holding it together. Their speech did go very long, but then again, there's 5 of them. So, you got to give them their time to say stuff here. Overall, was really entertaining speech. Might have gone a little bit too long. The super soaker water guns at the end was all, fun loving and a throwback to what they used to do, but I could have done without that. But still, overall, I give the speech a thumbs up. It was entertaining. It was nice to see. And it was an interesting class. I mean, we had Bret Hart in the same class with D-Generation X, Bret and Shawn becoming 2-time Hall of Famers together. We also had Rockabilly and Honky Tonk Man on the same stage, which is an absolute trip. So there was a few interesting tidbits about this Hall of Fame, but kind of a weaker class, I would have to admit, even though my favorite tag team of all time did go in. And like I said, not a fan of the setup, and the fan attack on Bret Hart was really scary and almost put a damper on the whole event. But hopefully next year things will get back to normal, and we can have a much less stressful Hall of Fame ceremony in 2020. Let's move on now to the WrestleMania 35 card and talk about that. Like I said, I'm going to try not to spend too much time on these matches because I do not want to talk forever, and I have got some vacations to take, and I got to get this thing uploaded. So let's not waste any time and start with the kickoff show. I'm going to go right in order of these matches here and say a few words about each and every one of them. We did have a new Cruiserweight champion crowned in the opening match. Tony Nese did defeat Buddy Murphy. That was a match that I predicted correctly. We had Carmella, for some random reason, coming out as your winner of the Women's Battle Royal. Now, interesting tidbit about D-Generation X's Hall of Fame speech, X-Pac, and kudos to him for bringing this up. He mentioned in the speech that he feels like the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania should be renamed the China Memorial Battle Royal. And that's something that I pitched a year ago when they yanked Moolah out of there after the fans pitched a fit, and I said, why not name it after China? Especially since the men's battle royal is named after Andre, who is the 8th wonder of the world. The women's battle royal should be named after the 9th. And I was really happy that X-Pac brought that up. He's Triple H's friend. Maybe we can get there next year or something and actually one day name this thing after China. I think that would be a really nice touch to the battle royal. But until then, I don't give a shit about this battle royal. And Carmella won. I predicted Asuka to win because the only reason I did is because if it was up to me, if Asuka is not going to win this battle royal, I don't want her in it at all. Yes, that's right. I would actually prefer Asuka to be left off the WrestleMania card than put in this meaningless fucking battle royal to be eliminated. She made it till the end. Sarah Logan was the one to dump her out, which made us think Sarah Logan was winning. And then Carmella, who was hiding out, same type of finish they did last year, I believe, for this fucking thing, climbs back in the ring, eliminates Sarah Logan, and Carmella wins the battle royal. So good for her. In what was kind of a fun outcome, in a match that wasn't even announced until last minute, I didn't include this match in my predictions. I didn't even know about it. The Revival had to defend the Raw Tag Team titles against Hawkins and Ryder, and Hawkins and Ryder won. Finally, Kurt Hawkins has won a match after 269 consecutive losses, and he's reunited with his former tag team partner Zach, and they win the titles at WrestleMania, and I thought it was great. The only thing I was worried about is that they would drop the belts the very next night, because if you remember a couple of years ago, Zack Ryder won the Intercontinental title and then dropped it the next night on Monday Night Raw. But luckily, they survived their tag team title rematch on Raw, so congrats to them. I was happy for them. I thought it was definitely time to finally give Hawkins the win. The men's Andre the Giant Battle Royal was up next, and this was horrible. I hate this Battle Royal. I straight up hate it. I have said this several times in my recent episodes that I was so optimistic for this concept when it was first announced at WrestleMania 30. You know, the Battle Royal is very sacred at WrestleMania. It goes back a long way. They've had some classic ones in the early days of WrestleMania, and I wouldn't say it was a staple. It was just frequent in the early days, and I liked them. And the fact that they're now doing one annually, and there's going to be a winner who can potentially get some title shots from it, and it can be used to elevate someone, and you get this big trophy, and it's named after the king of battle royals, Andre the Giant. I was just in heaven, loving this. And the very first winner was iconic, with Cesaro dumping over the Big Show in a body slam to win the first ever Andre Battle Royal. And then from there, it went right down the fucking sewer. It's been an absolute joke ever since then, and this year was no different. We had the Weekend Update guys from SNL who were actually participants in this, and I speculated that they're probably going to be there at the end somehow. And sure enough, they hide under the ring, they bail out, get under the ring, they hide under there while Braun Strowman disposes of everybody, and then they climb back in, and it's the two of them against Strowman, and he just dumps them both out, or he dumps out Michael Che, and then he picks up Colin Jost and throws him over the top rope to all of the wrestlers that were still out there after they were eliminated so they could catch him, and that was it. So Braun Strowman wins the Big Cheese Trophy. Who fucking cares? The Battle Royal is a joke, and it's sad. It's also sad that for the second straight year now, Braun Strowman has done something stupid. He won the tag team titles last year with an 8-year-old, and this year he's tossing out comedy sketch actors out of battle royals. So I don't know what to say about that. I will say he looked in great shape. Did you see the motherfucker's abs? Oh my God. Strowman's a beast. So those were the 4 matches that took place on the kickoff. Time for the main card now. The show opens up with WrestleMania's host, Alexa Bliss, coming out to the stage. She's then joined by Hulk Hogan, who comes out to cut a promo, and he botches the fucking name of the arena again. I mean, what is with this guy? He even jokes about his previous botch by calling MetLife the Silverdome. But then he goes on to call it MetLife Center instead of MetLife Stadium. So it wasn't quite as big of a botch as it was at WrestleMania 30, but still, what is wrong with Hogan? And again, it was nothing even that special. He's just out there posing. Might have been a nice little thrill for Alexa Bliss to be out there posing with Hogan, but still, when you compare this opening segment to what they did at WrestleMania 30 with Austin, Rock, and Hogan, not even close. This sucked. And what was interesting is right in the middle of their posing, Paul Heyman comes out to the stage and starts power walking right to the ring. And it was a really interesting thing to see, to watch Paul Heyman walking down to the ring while the Real American theme music is playing. I actually got a big kick out of that. But he storms down to the ring, gets on the mic, says that if Brock Lesnar is not in the main event, that he's not going to wait around there all night. Brock Lesnar is ready to defend the title right now so he can get the hell out of here because they've got a meeting in Vegas. Wink, wink. We know what that's about. He introduces Brock Lesnar, who now comes down to the ring. The announcers are talking about how Seth is not ready for his match. He doesn't know he's supposed to be wrestling right now. And I just don't know why Paul Heyman has this authority. I know you have to suspend your disbelief and everything, but why is Paul Heyman authorized to come down there and say, this match has to happen right now or it's not happening? I mean, Seth could be on the toilet taking a shit right now when Paul Heyman is out there cutting that promo, for all we know. But Seth winds up coming out to the ring, and we are kicking off WrestleMania with the Universal title match. That's crazy. I actually thought Kofi and Bryan might start the night out because I had Kofi winning the belt, and I thought that would be a great way to start the show, is have a big title change like that when the fans are so jacked. But in my predictions, I actually reluctantly, kicking and screaming, picked Brock Lesnar to win this match because I didn't think Kofi, Seth, and Becky were all going to walk out with their titles. So when Seth makes it down to the ring and he's attacked by Brock Lesnar before the match starts, I start freaking out. Oh, God, they're going to have Brock Lesnar steal a win here by attacking Seth. He proceeds to beat the crap out of Seth Rollins on the outside of the ring for like 5 minutes, slamming him through tables and throwing him across announce tables and posting him and doing everything in the world to him, assaulting the hell out of him. Before the match even starts, he tosses Seth back in the ring, and then the bell rings. Why any of this is legal, I have no idea. And now the match is officially underway, and within just a few seconds, Seth Rollins nails Brock Lesnar with a low blow. Down goes Brock. Seth Rollins hits him with the curb stomp. Brock starts almost immediately getting up, so Seth hits him with a second curb stomp, and Brock is down and out, but he starts crawling back to his knees, and Seth nails him with a third curb stomp. And in 2 minutes and 20-something seconds, Seth Rollins pins Brock Lesnar for the 1-2-3 and is your new Universal Champion. So even though the whole match felt like it lasted 20 minutes, in the record books, Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar in 2.5 minutes. That's amazing. I did not see that happening. I thought with Roman coming back, it was going to change up everything, and they might keep the belt back on Brock after all. That's what they did last year. They pulled the rug out from under us. We thought Roman was all set to bring that belt back to Raw, and they kept it on Brock. And I was worried we might see that here, and I was elated. I was so happy. Thank God this belt is back on Raw. Now, I've got Brock's back. I mean, everybody hates Brock, this and that or whatever. I actually like Brock, and I'm fine with him being here, and I'm fine with him being on the show. What I'm not fine with is him being champion for like 2.5 years when he's never there. And that got old real quick. I didn't mind it for a little while. I didn't even mind it for like the first year. But man, it just went on and on and on. And WWE Raw might improve now. We have our belt back, guys. You know, the Universal title is back on Raw, and provided we don't have any more fucking injuries or illnesses, we should have a lot of fun with this belt being front and center on the show every week, which is not something that we have seen really since the belt was fucking created, when you think about it. Kevin Owens, to me, feels like the only guy that really had a normal run with that belt when he won after Finn Balor forfeited. Because after that, Goldberg beat him, and Goldberg didn't work and defend the belt at all. Then Brock beat Goldberg, and he never defended the fucking belt. And then Roman defeated Brock, but then Roman got sick and passed it back to Brock, and it's been on him ever since. So we are long overdue for this to happen. And I was so happy the way it happened, and I don't even care. A lot of people have even been mentioning the low blow. Well, it's not really a clean victory because he hit him with the low blow. Fuck the low blow. You know what? I can live with it. I'll take it any way I can get it. And if you ask me, in storyline, when Brock Lesnar spends the better part of 5 minutes assaulting his opponent on the outside of the ring using weapons and putting that opponent at a huge, enormous disadvantage, I think you're allowed one dick kick. You're allowed one nut shot. Good mic work rules on that one. A 5-minute beatdown on the outside of the ring is the equivalent to one low blow. So Seth earned it. It cancels out. It didn't happen. That was a clean win in my book. And it's my channel, so my fucking book counts. Either way, I could not have been happier to be wrong in my prediction. And you guys know, have been listening to me forever. You know, I've been saying ever since last October, ever since Roman Reigns had to forfeit the title, I said the one positive thing about this is now it opens up the door for another member of the roster to hold a clean victory over Brock Lesnar. Because right now it's all legends, aside from Roman. You know, it's Cena and Triple H and Goldberg and Taker. You know, we need somebody current. We need somebody that's on the roster. The only person that has that feather in their cap is Roman. It's time to give that feather to someone else and let them stick it in their cap. So I can live with the nut shot. I can live with the low blow. I don't care. Seth stomped that bastard's face into the mat 3 times, and it was glorious. Congrats to Seth Rollins. You're going to be a great champion. I love you. The next match on the card was AJ Styles taking on Randy Orton. Now, apparently during this match and during the first couple of matches, the audience had a huge issue with the lights. And I wasn't aware of this during the live stream. Apparently the audience was chanting a lot of things, but I was talking to all of you and reading the chat and all of that. So I guess I probably wasn't noticing that, but the fans were pissed. It was very tough to see, and it was blinding apparently. And it took away a lot from the Randy Orton AJ Styles match, so much so that Randy Orton actually went on social media and apologized for it. But from what I could tell on just watching it on the network, I thought it was a very good match. It didn't quite live up to what I was hoping. I was really hoping it would be a show-stealing type of match, and it certainly wasn't bad. You cannot put two professionals the level of AJ Styles and Randy Orton in the ring together and the match be bad. It just wasn't, a WrestleMania caliber show-stealing type of match that I was hoping in my heart that we would get. That's really my only criticism here of that match. Still a good match, just not great in my opinion. Another match that I felt just wasn't quite as great as I wanted it to be was Shane McMahon versus The Miz. Shane McMahon stole a victory in this. The match itself had everything we were expecting it to have. It had involvement by The Miz's dad. The Miz's dad saved The Miz from being smashed through the announce table by Shane McMahon. The Miz's dad even got in the ring and squared up, put up his fists in the most hilarious fighting stance I've ever seen in my life to fight Shane McMahon. And then they did the spot. We all knew Shane was going to fly off of something, fall off of something, take some sort of a ridiculous bump. They both did. They found themselves way off in the audience. They climbed up some scaffolding and wound up on the top of this thing where The Miz suplexed Shane McMahon off of it, and they landed on what was clearly a gimmicked, padded type of landing. And it was so ridiculously obvious that that's what it was. And Shane, because he was suplexed, technically landed on top of The Miz, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3, because of course this was a Falls Count Anywhere match. So Shane got the victory here, a very cheap victory, and a lot of fans thought that was not the right call, but I think it's okay because I have a feeling they might do a rematch in Saudi Arabia. We've got that stupid show in Saudi Arabia coming up. Their entire issue seemed to start back at Crown Jewel. That would be a nice place to blow it off. So Shane gets the cheap victory here at WrestleMania, and The Miz will probably win the blow-off in Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm guessing for the two of these guys. But again, just kind of an underwhelming match. The Usos did retain in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match. I was glad to see that. I didn't really want to see them drop the belts, and I was happy they got their WrestleMania moment and victory, so props to them. In the other Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, I got this one real wrong. I predicted this one completely backwards. I had Sasha and Bayley retaining the titles, and if they were going to lose the titles, I thought it might go to Natalya and Beth Phoenix for a really short run. I know Beth just signed on for one match, but her husband is Edge. She does commentary all the time. They're very much involved in the company. I don't see why it would be out of the question to sign Beth Phoenix to a 3-week deal and put the title on Natalya and Beth to kind of commemorate the Hart Foundation going in. Just 24 hours earlier, Natalya's putting her father into the Hall of Fame. They even came out in coordinated outfits, coming out to the Hart Foundation music with the Hart Foundation themed attire. I always hate Natalya's ring gear. I think it looks ridiculous. But at WrestleMania, she looked great with the jacket, the Hart Foundation style jacket. So if they were going to take the belts off of Sasha and Bayley here, I would pass it to Natty and Beth Phoenix for like 3 weeks and have them immediately drop it at the next pay-per-view. But instead, the Iconics walked away with gold. I had no doubt that the Iconics were going to win the tag team titles one day, because they're an actual team. They're one of the few actual teams in the company. But since coming to the main roster, they haven't felt as special as an NXT, and I just didn't think they were, I hate to use this term, but I didn't really think they were championship material yet. I thought maybe they would just win the belts down the line when WWE starts pushing them, not out of the blue. Or if Natalya and Beth did win the belts here, maybe the Iconics can defeat them at the next pay-per-view or on SmackDown or something like that. That might have been the way I would have done it, but nonetheless, it's a great moment for the Iconics. Some fans love the Iconics. Some fans hate them. I'm kind of indifferent about them. I think they're better than the Bellas. That's for sure. But Billie Kay I find horrifically annoying with her screaming-ass voice. But as a team, I'm just not sure about them yet on the main roster. But now they're champs. So there's no proving ground anymore. Now you're on top. So we'll see if they have a run that lasts longer than Bayley, and Sasha. And we don't know what the future of Bayley and Sasha are either, because Bayley got pretty much squashed by Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw. And they might have also taken the belts off of Sasha and Bayley in order to break them up in the shakeup. That might have been another reason for taking the belts off of him. So I guess we'll know sooner rather than later on that. In an absolutely glorious moment, and probably my favorite moment and match on the entire WrestleMania card, was the Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston match for the WWE title. It was a great match. It lived up to all of the hype, in my opinion. It delivered and gave to me exactly what I was hoping to see. I really thought the right call here was to put the belt on Kofi, especially because of the way this all came about, with the injury to Mustafa Ali and Kofi getting the opportunity and getting the fans behind him and getting them to take notice. And everybody's like, hey, wait a minute. This guy's been busting his ass, and now you're giving him a shot? Yes, we would love to see Kofi. This guy is more than earned his right. He has been a solid competitor on the roster for over 10 years. He's been great in singles. He's been great in tag teams. He's had a legendary faction here with the New Day. He's been in WWE so damn long, he lost his Jamaican accent. He's had very different levels of his career. He's seen so many ups and downs and changes, and he's been with the WWE for so long now, and he always is just a solid competitor. Always gives you good matches, always comes through. Model employee, or model independent contractor, I should say. But there's nothing more you should ask for in a talent than what Kofi gives you. Goes out there and does what he's told, works hard, busts his ass, is humble, good attitude, has the respect of the fans and his peers, keeps his nose clean, family man. What the fuck else do you want, WWE? So many guys, and Kofi's not alone. There's so many guys like Kofi that deserve this chance. So when the fans saw this as being a possibility, they got behind Kofi, and they got behind him 1,000,000%. And the tie-in with Vince McMahon trying to put up roadblocks in front of Kofi Kingston, and he's also taking on Daniel Bryan, the new Daniel Bryan, who has a completely new attitude, and the beautiful irony that just happens to fall in our lap here with Kofi's opportunity is not only is Kofi getting an opportunity now, but he's taking on a man who's now a heel that was in the exact same position that Kofi sees himself in back in 2014. Daniel Bryan essentially was wrestling himself 5 years earlier at WrestleMania. So this was all really great, and sometimes the greatest things are the things that fall in your lap or happen organically. And WWE, we all know, can really fuck up the booking of things sometimes. And they didn't have time to fuck up the booking of this. It happened so quick with Kofi's popularity kind of bubbling up and the fans screaming for him. It happened in such a short time span that the creative team didn't have time to rape it. You know what I mean? And I just was really hoping that WWE wouldn't pull a swerve and have Vince come out and screw Kofi. Even when Brock Lesnar lost the title so early in the opening match, I tweeted, I was like, oh shit, what if Kofi wins the belt and then Vince McMahon comes out on the stage and says, congratulations, Kofi, you've made history. And I feel that you should make some more history by being the first guy to ever defend the WWE title right after you won it. Even though that's not true, it was done at WrestleMania 9. And then Vince introduces Brock Lesnar. Brock comes out to the ring and beats Kofi for the title. I thought they might actually do that. I thought maybe we could see a heel turn by the New Day, even though I don't think it makes any sense. I think a heel turn by the New Day down the road can make sense, especially if the New Day can claim, oh, now that Kofi's champion, he's got a big head and he's difficult to deal with and he treats us as, as beneath him and all of that. And that's why they turn on him. You've got a story kind of, waiting there for you if you want to go that way. But to have a heel turn here at WrestleMania made no sense, especially when New Day, Big E, and Xavier, they've been fighting so hard for Kofi and supporting him so much. Turning heel on him would have made no storyline sense in my opinion. Would have been shocking, just wouldn't have made any sense. So I just wasn't interested in seeing any outcome other than Kofi winning here. That's why I predicted him to win. And WWE delivered on this one. They gave us a great match, too. The Kofi-Daniel Bryan match was not only a great story, it was a great match. And Kofi won with the Trouble in Paradise. And I thought Daniel Bryan might kick out, but he didn't. Kofi got the 1, 2, 3, got the victory. New Day celebrated with Kofi. He brought his family in the ring, his kids in the ring. They had a table, a little podium set up outside the ring that I've never seen before, but apparently that's where they were putting all of the championship belts during title matches. They were sitting them there. Well, you could tell there was something underneath the covering there, and it was the actual WWE title, the old leather and gold title, because I was concerned about Kofi celebrating with that burlap sack. So Big E and Xavier unveil Kofi's new belt, already has the Kofi plates, and he celebrates with the title. It was a beautiful moment, and Kofi earned that. And on top of that, he's a black man, born in Africa, winning the WWE title at WrestleMania. That is amazing to me and just warms my heart beyond belief. And, I'm really glad that that's a tie in there, but I'm glad that the race issue isn't the focal point, because Kofi Kingston doesn't deserve this opportunity because he's a black man. He deserves this opportunity because he's a great professional wrestler that's worked hard and given us fans an endless amount of entertainment over the years. He's just been a solid workhorse type of guy, and it didn't matter what race or gender he was. He deserved to be in that match. That professional wrestler deserved to be in there. And Kofi being a black man to win the title is what I call a cherry on top. It's very nice. I'm happy that's a part of the match, but I'm almost happier for Kofi's dedication to wrestling and all the work he's put in. He just earned this outright. And I'm happy for him. And it was just a feel-good moment all around. And to have a WrestleMania 35 in the year 2019, where you not only have an African-born black man winning the WWE title, but you have the women main eventing your show, tell me you would have thought that was possible 10 years ago. Just think about it 10 years ago. My vote would have been that we wouldn't see that. And we saw both at the same show. So, very happy for Kofi, happy for his adorable fucking kids, who not only were entertaining the shit out of me at the Hall of Fame, they were entertaining the shit out of me when he was celebrating with them in the ring. Great stuff. We got a real quick one after Kofi's moment. Joe beat Rey Mysterio, retained the U.S. title in a very quick match. I actually took a break during the stream to take a piss and have a snack and send a couple of text messages, and by the time I got back and sat back in my chair, this match was over. Rey, it was reported, did suffer an injury the previous week on Raw when he wrestled Baron Corbin, so he might have not been 100% here, but they still wanted to give him the WrestleMania match. It was a quick one. Joe choked him out. Rey's outfit looked really cool, but the match itself, I felt, could have just been done on SmackDown. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. This was a match that I felt could have just been on Raw, but that's not realistic. Roman Reigns has main evented the previous 4 WrestleManias. You're going to leave him off the show? You're going to leave your poster boy off the show? I don't think so. And Drew McIntyre, he's a boss. He's a big star too. He's a big part of the roster. So they need to have a match, but it felt like a Raw match. It was nothing special. We didn't see anything crazy. We saw a clean win by Roman Reigns, which was what I was expecting and what I predicted. And that was pretty much it. I don't know if we're going to get a rematch now, because it was a pretty clean, decisive win. And Roman was kept off TV on Monday Night Raw. So I have a pretty strong feeling that they might be moving Drew McIntyre to SmackDown, which means we'll never even get a rematch between these guys. And that's just going to be the end of it. But if he does stay on Raw, then I do think you get a rematch down the road with McIntyre and Roman. But the match at Mania was completely boring. I didn't care about it at all. Roman got the win. Good for him. Welcome back after leukemia. Successful match at WrestleMania. It's a great return for him and everything. And I'm happy for him. But the match itself, I didn't even really need on this card. We had the big concert that was promised by Elias. This thing was a huge letdown. He, of course, was interrupted by Thuganomics John Cena, which I liked Thuganomics John Cena and everything, but to me, something like this is better suited for like an old school Monday Night Raw or one of those special shows that they do, nostalgia shows, and have Cena come out to that. For him to interrupt Elias 2 years in a row, they did the shit last year too at 34. Same thing. The only difference this time is The Undertaker didn't come out. But John Cena came out and he rapped a little bit. Elias had 2 Eliases on the screen and himself in the ring. And the whole thing was, somewhat fun, but again, kind of a letdown. No Rock, no Undertaker on the show. I thought The Rock would come out and interrupt Elias and the 2 of them would do a duet. That's what I wanted to see. Or a rock off or a rock concert or something like that. I thought the Thuganomics thing, while everybody did like it, for me personally, it was just kind of a letdown. I was never a big fan of Thuganomics Cena anyway. That wasn't my favorite time period in wrestling. The Attitude Era was over and I was kind of not feeling some of the new blood in WWE, and I wasn't sold on John Cena back in those Thuganomic days. Triple H and Batista were up next in the no-holds-barred match. Triple H's career is on the line. If he loses, his career is over. We all knew where this one was going. We knew this was all setting up for Batista to give Triple H's win back. Triple H just went in the Hall of Fame the previous night with DX. It was kind of hard to imagine or envision him losing this match here. Batista to come back only to defeat Triple H after he owned him back in 2001. The outcome of this was not hard to figure out. Very weird moment, too, at the beginning when Batista is making his entrance. He trips and falls as he's getting in the ring. And I remember watching him thinking, it looked like he was stumbling and bumbling. I was worried that he was lightheaded or maybe he was fainting or something like that. It looked really awkward, and I was concerned that he would even be able to get through the match. He looked blown up by the time he got in the ring. I mean, you got to remember, Batista is pretty up there in age. You know, Triple H is as well, but Triple H is still used to working. He works relatively frequently, a few times a year, so he's still in somewhat of ring shape. But Batista, it's been a while, man. We haven't really seen him active in the ring in like 9 years. He quit in 2010, remember? Came back in 2014 for what, 3 months? Then he was gone, and now he's back 5 years later. So in the last 9 years, we've only had about 3 months of Batista. Maybe 4 months, maybe 5, I don't know. But not much. So Batista did not look like he was quite ready for this. The match was very brutal. They brought out a lot of weapons. They brought out a toolbox where Triple H pretended to rip out the nose ring of Batista. A lot of stare shots here, a lot of table spots. My God, Batista took a back body drop onto the table and just bounced right off it. Batista took an ass kicking in this. In the ring, it was exactly what I thought it would be. It sucked. You know, when this match was first rumored back at SmackDown 1000, I had no interest in it. But when Batista came back and attacked Ric Flair, I thought it was well done, and I suddenly became excited to see the match. But the match itself wasn't really that much. It was kind of painful to watch at times. But finally, mercifully, it came to an end. Triple H did hit Batista with, I think, like the second pedigree, and got the victory in what turned out to be Batista's final match, which we had a feeling that he was going to come back and do one match and leave. And a couple of hours after WrestleMania, Batista tweets that that was his final match in professional wrestling and that his professional wrestling career is over. And I thought that was such a classy way to do it, for him to go out, kind of like Steve Austin, how you didn't really know it was his last match, plus he didn't want to take away from Kurt Angle. And he just announced on social media that he was done. And I tweeted him, told him thank you. I think Batista is just an awesome dude. I'm so happy and proud of his success. I think he's a cool guy. I've mentioned before that I felt bad the way we were all giving him so much shit back in 2014 when none of that was his fault. And he just seems like a really cool guy. And I appreciate what he did in this match. Even though Triple H doesn't need any more WrestleMania victories, I still appreciate Batista giving back, going out on his back. You want to know who my favorite wrestling retirements are? Batista and Stone Cold Steve Austin. You want to know who my least favorite retirements are? Everyone else. You know, Batista went out like a boss, like a man, and he did it his way, the Big Dave way. And I appreciate him. How about Wendy's Twitter account? Apparently loves wrestling, was tweeting all during WrestleMania and tweeted out, Batripsta. I think everybody got a really big kick out of Batista falling down. And I think he got a kick out of it himself. It was a funny moment, and it was just added to some of the humor of WrestleMania. But I'm glad Batista made it through the match. Glad he survived. Glad Triple H survived. Thanks for everything, Batista. You weren't ever one of my favorites, but I still respect the shit out of you and respect what you did at WrestleMania. And speaking of thank yous, thank you to Kurt Angle. He had a match at WrestleMania. I forget the guy's name. He basically is like an entry-level Applebee's busboy. For some reason, they feature him on Raw all the time. He's got these dumb little tattoos all over him. He wears a dumb outfit, little tiny vest. He's got a bald head. Aren't bald people ugly? Man, how can you not have hair? What's going on there? Everything about the guy is awful. I forget his name. Let's just call him Mike. Let's just say his name's Mike. Mike the busboy from Applebee's. He comes out there and actually gets a win over Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle loses in his final match to a stupid opponent, and the opponent leaves. And then Kurt Angle has the send-off with the audience. Kurt Angle says goodbye to the fans. He gets on the mic and thanks them. They play his music, and he listens to the fans chant, "You suck," as he leaves. It was a very nice moment for Kurt Angle. Now, of course, I'm joking about the whole Baron shithead Corbin thing. I still think that was just a ridiculous opponent. I don't get it. John Cena was there and available. Why didn't they do it? I just don't know. It would have been such a nice Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair type of moment for Angle. I don't know why WWE, maybe the TNA thing pissed him off. Maybe they feel like Kurt Angle isn't worthy of a retirement match like that because he left for 10 years or 12 years or whatever it was. I don't know. Baron Corbin is an up-and-comer. He's a very hot heel with a ton of heat on the roster. Everybody hates this guy. Maybe not even for the right reasons, but he definitely generates anger from the fans, including myself. And I just thought he was a poor choice for Angle's opponent. On the surface, I have no problem with somebody going out on their backs and losing to a younger guy. It's just with Angle, I just wanted something a little bit more emotional. I wanted him to wrestle Cena. I wanted a babyface match and a send-off and some tears shed and all of that. You know, we're never going to be able to recreate what Shawn and Rick did at 24, but this might have been close had Angle and Cena got a chance to do this here, but who knows what the backstory is here. WWE wanted Angle to wrestle Corbin. Angle wanted to wrestle Corbin. If these are truly Angle's wishes, then I will be more than happy to honor them. He was a great wrestler, man. Nobody will ever be like Kurt Angle, ever. You know, think about that. He debuted in 99. By 2001, he was considered to be one of, if not the best in-ring wrestler in the entire world. Definitely in the top 5. He had the respect of everybody. He was as good as Chris Benoit 2 years in. He was as good as Bret Hart was in 1994, 2 years in. Name me anybody that has had that success and that has been that decorated of a champion in that short amount of time. You know, by Kurt Angle's second year in the business, he was already Intercontinental Champion, European Champion, and I believe 2-time WWE Champion in 2 years. Nobody has come close to doing that. Not Shamrock, not Matt Riddle. The only one that came close was The Rock, who won the WWE title 2 years after his debut. But as far as in-ring wrestling goes and your ability inside the ropes, to think about how scary good Kurt Angle was 2 years into his career is something that I promise you we will never see again. And you can throw out names and candidates of people that might come close, but still nobody touches Kurt. Nobody is as good in their second year as Kurt Angle was in his second year. He is in a class by himself. And thank you, Kurt, for everything. Thank you for 20 years of amazing wrestling. You never once disappointed until the very end, when you were clearly beyond your years and a shell of yourself. That's not your fault. That's just time. That's age. That's what happens. So Kurt Angle didn't get the send-off we all wanted, but he still got a send-off, and that's the end of Kurt Angle's in-ring career. We get Bobby Lashley taking on the Demon Finn Balor next for the Intercontinental title. We did get the Demon, of course, at WrestleMania. We got the big Demon entrance, which I thought looked really good, but still a little bit underwhelming. I mean, the card was long by this point. You know, the main event is up next. We already had Kofi winning the title, and it was really hard for the audience to bounce back after that. We were probably into about our 7th hour by now, if you include the kickoff show. So the fans were a bit tired, but Balor did win back the title. And to me, they didn't need to take it off of him to begin with. I think they could have done this match and just had him retain the title against Bobby Lashley. Because when Balor was NXT champion, I used to love at takeovers when he would defend the belt as the Demon, and they would lay the belt like in the middle of the rampway, and he would crawl to it and snatch it. I would have liked to see that with the Intercontinental title. You know, so my only complaint here is that I don't think Balor needed to win back the title. I think he should have never lost it to begin with and just retained here. But he wound up beating Bobby Lashley with the coup de grace, new IC champ, and hey, I couldn't be more thrilled. I love me some Demon. And finally, we're on to the main event now. Triple threat, winner-take-all match for the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. This match was okay. This match was good. I'm not sure if it lived up to main event quality at WrestleMania. It was a little bit botchy, but I mean, this is the first ever female main event in WrestleMania history, and it might be the last one for a long time. So they had to have butterflies. They had to have the jitters. But I still like the match. I still like the way the whole thing was presented. I loved Charlotte Flair coming in on the helicopter because Ric Flair did that once. That was a nice little throwback. I thought all the ladies had really cool entrances. Joan Jett played Ronda Rousey to the ring live. And, of course, Becky Lynch came out last. You know, and we knew it. I predicted Becky Lynch to win here. This match was the main event. I didn't see how WWE does any other outcome here. You know, if you're going to have Charlotte, if you're going to give Charlotte this moment, you are going to get a riot in that place. So I felt Becky Lynch was the only option here to win this match, and she did. The ladies did their thing. They all had their moments. They were beating the shit out of each other. And the only problem was the finish. The finish was a little bit weird. The finish was botched. And I also feel like the finish might have come a little bit early. The show was running pretty long by this point. They might have shaved a couple of minutes off of the match. I don't know. But we saw Becky Lynch catch Ronda Rousey in a crucifix pinning combination. And Ronda Rousey, during the 3 count, her shoulder pops up. And the referee counts 3 anyway. and Becky wins, and the fans, I don't even think, realized that there was a 3 count. And she got the big moment, and the fans were happy and everything, but I think the 3 count and the win caught them off guard, and it just felt a little bit weird. And then when you go back and watch the replay, they fucking botched it. Rousey's shoulder was off the mat, and it feels like it ruined it a little bit. We didn't quite get the glorious moment like we got at WrestleMania 20 and WrestleMania 30 with Becky. We did get Becky celebrating. We did get her holding up both belts and the whole deal, and the fans definitely loved it, and the fans were definitely happy. But to me, it felt like it was just a tiny bit underwhelming, and the botch at the end just sucked, and it was a little bit deflating. But WWE, they can rewrite their own history if they want to. They can ignore it if they want to. I think you now have a built-in reason when Ronda comes back, because I guess she's going to be out for a while. We did not see her the next night on Monday Night Raw. And so if the rumors are true that she's going to go off and maybe have a family or start a family and come back down the road, that could be happening. She's under contract for 3 years. 3 years of wrestling. So if she's going to pause her contract and go have a baby and then come back in a year, maybe that's what happens here. But whenever she does come back, she's got an argument now that, hey, my shoulders weren't down. I want a rematch. So I guess let the rumors and speculation begin how long we're going to see Ronda Rousey out. It's only been one Monday Night Raw. She might be back in 2 weeks. She might be back in 2 months. She might be back in 12 months. We don't know. But despite the fact that it wasn't a perfect main event, I'm still immensely proud of the women. I think this is awesome that WWE did this and had a female main event WrestleMania. The importance of that gets lost a little bit because there's so much going on with WrestleMania, but you really have to think about and analyze that statement and think about what you as a wrestling fan would have thought of that idea 10 years ago. If somebody said, do you think the women will ever main event WrestleMania? I guarantee you would have said no. Absolutely. And so would I. So the fact that we're here, to me, is great, and I'm trying my best to look at all of the positive things about this main event and not the negative. Overall, I thought the show was good. I mean, how can it not be good when you have Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston winning the WWE title, and Becky Lynch, not Charlotte Flair, winning in the main event of the first ever female main event of WrestleMania? How in the world can that possibly disappoint you in any way? But the rest of the show, some of it wasn't that great. So, when I rate the last few WrestleManias, I don't think it was as good as 30, but I definitely think it was better than 32. And what do you guys think? Which WrestleMania did you like better? Tell me that below. Did you like WrestleMania 34 from last year better or WrestleMania 35? That would have made a great Twitter poll, actually. I should have put that up. It's probably too late to do that now. But I'd kind of like to hear your opinions on that. So hit me with all your opinions on the show down below. Would definitely like to hear what you thought. Now, as I look at the time, I am starting to realize that I'm running out of it. I have got to be on an airplane in just a few hours, and we still have to talk about the Monday Night Raw and SmackDown after Mania. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to blow through these shows relatively quickly, but a lot went down on both. Now, let's start with Monday Night Raw. One thing I will say up front, because I know this is the general opinion amongst everybody, and I agree 100%, this was a very disappointing post-WrestleMania Monday Night Raw. This was nothing compared to years past. It's not like the show was completely uneventful or anything like that. It was still a relatively fun show, and we saw some things happen. But in terms of post-WrestleMania Raws, doesn't even come close to comparing to those. Now, we had Seth Rollins open the show. I was very curious who would open, if it would be Seth or Becky Lynch. Seth is out there cutting a promo, celebrating, and looking back, I still cannot believe that he beat Brock Lesnar in 2.5 minutes like that, and I'm just thrilled to see that belt back on Monday Night Raw. And in a move that I didn't see coming at all, Seth Rollins' promo is interrupted by none other than the New Day. New Day and brand new WWE Champion Kofi Kingston come out to the ring, and Kofi gets on the mic and challenges Seth Rollins to a winner-take-all match in the spirit of what Becky did the night before. And I'm doing my live stream on Monday night with all of you, and I'm resisting this hard. As soon as it's announced, I'm like, no, I don't want to see this happen yet. I am giddy as a fucking schoolgirl that Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins both walked out of WrestleMania as champions, and I didn't want to see either one of these guys lose the belt, and I certainly didn't want to see Kofi lose his before we get to Tuesday and he can have his big celebration on SmackDown. So something was up right from the start. In my heart of hearts, I didn't feel that a unification match was really going to take place, and we were speculating on that all throughout Monday Night Raw, that there was going to be interference, or there was going to be a run-in, or some shit was going to happen in the main event that would cause us not to get a finish and cause one man not to lose his title. And that's exactly what we got. Now, I'm going to go mostly in order of what we saw on Monday Night Raw, but I do want to skip ahead to the main event and just talk about what a huge, monumental disappointment this was. And I don't know why WWE suckered the fans in like that, why they teased us with this unification match. Now, granted, I'm glad they didn't go through with it, but shit. When you compare this to previous post-WrestleMania Monday Night Raws, the final thing we saw after WrestleMania 28 on Monday Night Raw with John Cena in the middle of the ring cutting his promo after losing to The Rock and Brock Lesnar's music hits, it's got to be up there in top 5 pops of all time. And we got the complete opposite of that in this match. When in the middle of Kofi and Seth Rollins' main event winner-take-all match, the Bar, of all people, come out to interfere, which then leads, get this, to an impromptu tag team match in the main event. Seth Rollins and Kofi, the two WWE World Champions, which is a hell of a team, taking on the Bar. Now, this might have been fun any other Monday Night Raw of the year, but in the main event of the post-Mania Raw, this is what we get. No crazy surprise, no crazy swerve, nothing like that. Brock Lesnar didn't show back up. We saw nothing. It was just a straight-up match. Kofi and Seth won, and that was it. The crowd was heartbroken. You could tell they were just deflated. I think at the very end is when the beach balls finally made it out. The fans still entertained themselves throughout the show. They still had a good time, did the wave, did all sorts of crazy shit. But WWE didn't come through at all, in my opinion, for this post-Mania Raw. And we're going to backtrack now and talk about the rest of the show, which will reveal some important things taking place. But on a scale of 1 to 10 for a post-Mania Monday Night Raw, I give this one about a 2. Extremely disappointing. But let's now backtrack to the rest of Monday Night Raw, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try to go through a lot of this quickly here because I have got to get out of here and get this thing edited and up to YouTube before it's too late. In a very pleasant surprise, Hawkins and Ryder actually retained their tag team titles on Monday Night Raw. I was very nervous that they would wind up losing the belts because I think Ryder lost the Intercontinental title the night after winning it at WrestleMania a couple of years ago, and I was worried they might do a similar thing, but Hawkins and Ryder remained champs. We then had an interesting promo with Baron Corbin. He came out there to brag about his victory over Kurt Angle, called all of the fans a bunch of crybabies. I believe he even called them out on social media as well the night before. And he's in there being the type of douchebag that only Baron Corbin can be. And he's interrupted by Kurt Angle. So here's an interesting stat for you, or question for you wrestling nerds that can maybe research this. I would like to know if a wrestler has ever taken a bump 24 hours after retiring. I know a lot of people have come out of retirement, like Terry Funk. Terry Funk actually might be a candidate here, since he's retired about 20 times. But I'm trying to think of a wrestler who had his last match, and the very next night he is getting physical with somebody else. And Kurt Angle came out there and kicked Baron Corbin's ass and put him in the ankle lock. So they didn't do this at WrestleMania. They did it on Monday Night Raw instead. And I was wondering why this was even happening. You know, if you ask me, the Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin issue was squashed at WrestleMania. Why are they bringing this back up? I guess just to give fans one more nice moment with Kurt Angle and let the fans be happy about watching Baron Corbin get his ass kicked. But I didn't even really care much for the entire segment until Kurt Angle was interrupted by Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan has finally debuted. We've been waiting for this. There was some speculation that he might even debut at WrestleMania because he was rumored to have a match with John Cena months ago before his mental health issues. And now he's here. He's hit the main roster, attacks Kurt Angle, beats the shit out of him, delivers that incredibly impressive top rope headbutt that looks fantastic. And now Lars is on the roster, and he would make an appearance the very next night, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. We had a really weird match up next with Alexa Bliss defeating Bayley in a really quick match. And Bliss was advertised to call out, I think, both of the Boss and Hug connection. And she comes out to the ring, cuts a promo. Bayley comes out. They have a match, and Alexa Bliss beats her pretty quick. So I don't know what that's about. Sasha has also been expressing some frustration on social media. Not sure if this is storyline or work or whatever the fuck is going on here. But it looks like the days might be numbered for the Boss and Hug connection. And I don't know what the story is on Bayley dropping such a quick match like that to Alexa Bliss. We had Becky Lynch coming out next. She came out to celebrate with her 2 brand new shiny belts. And she talked about the match from the night before and how she got the better of Ronda and Charlotte and just basically celebrated. And the fans were happy for her. You deserve it chants out the ass during her promo. Lots of love for Becky Lynch. And as she's leaving, she is attacked by Lacey Evans. Lacey's music plays. She walks down to the ramp. So finally, she's actually walking down there, not just to walk away, but to stay down there. Becky gets out of the ring. They have a stare down. Lacey punches her in the face. They brawl, and Becky Lynch winds up putting her in the disarmor on the stage and running her off. So Lacey learned real quick not to fuck with the champ. At least they're doing something with Lacey. I didn't mind her walking out every now and then for a few weeks to introduce herself to the WWE main roster audience. I had no problem with that, but goddamn, the shit went on forever. It's time to put this girl in a program with someone. Now they're starting her off pretty high. You know, when your initial feud on the main roster is with the world champion, you don't have a whole lot of places to go other than down. And to me, it looks like, since Ronda, I guess, is likely taking some time off, we don't know yet, but if that's the case, Lacey is probably just the first challenger for Becky Lynch. I'd be very surprised if WWE puts both belts on Lacey Evans a month after Becky Lynch wins them. Just don't see it happening. Not sure if I would have done it this way. I might have had Lacey Evans feud with somebody that she can beat and build her up and have Becky Lynch just face a different challenger. I still think she has a little bit of unfinished business with Nia Jax, at least in the fans' minds, she does, and that might be a fun thing for them to see. Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax in her first title defense, and she beats Nia Jax. Full circle from the punch to the face that started all this stuff. Becky Lynch is likely carrying around those two titles because of Nia Jax's fist. That's crazy how the universe works. So I think that would be a much better match. I'd rather see Nia lose than Lacey, but whatever. I'm not complaining. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit, and I'm happy that Becky Lynch did walk out of WrestleMania with both of those titles. We had a tag team match up next. Aleister Black and Ricochet are still together. So after their 3 failed title matches last week, they still remain a tag team. Not sure how much longer that's going to go on. The shakeup is next week. Maybe they finally go their separate ways after that. They defeated Gable and Rude, and after the match, Bobby Roode attacked Black and Ricochet. So Rude maybe going full-blown heel and splitting from Gable. Not really sure what they're doing there or what it's going to lead to. We had Dean Ambrose supposed to have his final match in the WWE with Bobby Lashley. That's what the WWE was calling it, Dean's final match in the company, which I thought that was interesting that they were making such a big deal about this as his last night. And the match never even got underway. Dean is in the ring, Lashley comes out and beats the shit out of him before the match even starts. And we go to commercial. So it was just a beatdown. Dean's last match in the company wasn't even a match. He just got his ass kicked. Now, after Raw went off the air, I figured I should mention this right now. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were in the ring. After Raw went off the air, there's lots of footage of this. I think even WWE put something up on their YouTube channel. And they said goodbye to Dean Ambrose, the entire audience. And it was one final time in the ring for the Shield. It felt very real. You know, we've had our suspicions because WWE is treating this departure a lot differently than others. And for them to even allow Dean to have a send-off, I mean, this was the fucking curtain call that took place, you know, just a few miles away back in 1996. And Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns both said some things about Dean. Lots of nice words were shared. They talked about their friendship and their brotherhood and their history and how they came in together. And, you know, if this is truly the end for the Shield and Dean Ambrose is leaving, the earliest we would see Dean Ambrose back in the company, I would imagine, would be 3 years, maybe 5, if at all. So if this is happening, it was a nice moment. And if you haven't seen it, go on Twitter and find the cell phone footage of it or go to WWE's YouTube channel. I think they have it up there. It's all over the place. Really nice post-Raw segment with the Shield. And they sent Dean off. And this is great. If it does turn out to be a work and Dean comes back and he shows up somewhere, I mean, I think if Dean Ambrose does re-sign, they should really keep him hidden for a while. Keep him gone for maybe 2 months. Or whenever you want to take the belt off of Seth Rollins or something. And have him interfere, run in through the crowd when everybody thinks he's going to go to All Elite Wrestling. You know, but if this is it for Dean and the company, truly, I wish him the best. And I thought it was cool that despite him leaving and despite him going to work for competition that WWE clearly isn't a huge fan of, I think it's cool that they gave him a send-off on Raw. So let me know what you guys think about this Dean Ambrose situation in the comments below. Next up, we had an Intercontinental Championship match with brand new Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor taking on a returning Sami Zayn. And I thought this was a great night to bring back Sami Zayn because that post-WrestleMania crowd is nuts, and you gotta know they're gonna sing his theme song. And they did, and it was great. Awesome to see Sami Zayn back. Has a little bit of a different look. He's kind of rocking the Dean Ambrose. He's got the shaved head and the beard. And he had a pretty good match with Finn Balor. He did lose. Balor retains. And he gets on the mic after the match in what seems to be a very heartfelt promo, and then he immediately heels on the audience and cuts this amazing promo, this pipe bomb level promo. Stop typing. I'm not saying it's better than the pipe bomb or anything like that, but it was really fun. And he called out the wrestling fans. I'm glad that somebody has finally done this. I know a few people have done it here or there, but Sammy was kind of being specific, talking about one class, one group of wrestling fans that make wrestling so difficult to try to enjoy because they are a toxin in the bloodstream of professional wrestling fans. And I've always felt that way. And Sami Zayn calls them out for a lot of things, primarily them getting joy and satisfaction out of being critics, saying that's what they live to do. I don't know how many times I've said that myself in my podcasts, that there are times when complaining is completely warranted, but there are also times where the complaining gets a little overboard, and we are literally nitpicking and judging every single possible thing. And that even when we see something good, like, for example, NXT TakeOver on Friday night before WrestleMania, as great as that card was, you still had fans pissed off and questioning booking decisions because Shayna Baszler won a fucking match. You know, it never ends with these people. Even when you get good shit, you still have the people that are going to tear it down. And it's ridiculous. And there's an old adage in the wrestling business when it comes to heels that some of the best heels are the ones that have truth sewn in to what they're saying when they're right. You know, and a good heel really has to truly believe in his heart that what he is saying is true. And when you can find that dynamic, you normally have a heel that is absolute money. So I don't know where this is going to go for Sami Zayn. Knowing WWE, they're just going to fuck it up. But the original promo here, you know, was very much like the one Paul Heyman cut back in 2001, or CM Punk's pipe bomb for 2011, or Joey Styles' pipe bomb from 06 or whenever that was around the launch of ECW. We've had a few of these type of promos on Raw where somebody is being very honest and speaking a lot of truths. And that's when promos can feel so genuine. And I loved this one by Sami Zayn. So who knows where it's going to go? Likely nowhere, knowing WWE. Although I did see an amusing story today that was being reported that WWE has put out an ad looking for a member of creative to help them with storyline continuity, which I just found hilarious. With all of those writers, they don't put one of these guys in charge of that. So even though the headline cracked me the fuck up, this is actually good news. And before you even ask, no, I am not going to apply for that job. I would rather have sex with Lars Sullivan. But the one good thing about that ludicrous story coming out of WWE that they don't have anybody already in charge of this shit is that they at least know it's a problem. And now they're taking steps to fix it. It's a start. It's a start. It's better than them just going on willy-nilly, acting like nothing's wrong, like they got, you know, a firm grasp on everything creatively. At least they know there's some holes, and at least they know that it's getting under the fan's skin. So I think that's actually a positive thing when I read that news today. But Sami Zayn's promo on Raw, as much as I loved it, I have a strong feeling in the end it's not going to amount to anything, and it might not translate to very much. WWE probably just decided to keep him a heel upon his return and get him some new fresh heat with the audience, so they had him go out there and do this. And knowing WWE's creative team, they don't have anything beyond this mapped out. And finally, the last thing I will mention about Monday Night Raw is some pretty big news. We did see The Undertaker return. He was not at WrestleMania. His first WrestleMania that he has missed since WrestleMania 16 in the year 2000. Nearly 20 years of Undertaker not missing a WrestleMania. And he doesn't show up at 35, but he's here on Monday Night Raw to interrupt Elias, who comes out there and tries to make up for what happened to him the night before, even tries to rap a little bit with the audience. And this time he's interrupted by The Undertaker. He gets beat up, he gets chokeslammed, he gets tombstoned, and that was it. And I don't know what to make of it. The Undertaker is back. I'm assuming they're setting him up for a Saudi Arabia match. Maybe his opponent will be Elias. So if this is just a one-time thing and he tombstoned Elias and that's the end of it, oh well. And if not, maybe Taker can actually have a match with him at the Saudi Arabia show. Who knows? But Taker is back. Like I said, overall, definitely not one of the best post-WrestleMania Monday Night Raws. SmackDown, on the other hand, I feel like was a much better show. There was so much going on this 2-hour show. It was crazy. Show opened up with the Kofi Kingston celebration that we were all hoping would happen. The entire ring is decked out. We got balloons. We have a plate of pancakes sitting atop every single ring post. Marvelous. Xavier Woods and Big E have some very nice words for Kofi. Kofi cuts a wonderful promo talking about his victory and what it means to him, and pointed out his family and acknowledged them in the front row. And it was a great emotional moment. It was the exact type of celebration we were hoping we would get out of the New Day. And then they are interrupted by the Bar. The Bar again. Great. Bar is out there. Cesaro and Sheamus are on the mic, and they actually challenge the New Day to a match, 6-man match, in the main event against the two of them and their tag team partner, Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre randomly comes out on SmackDown. We've got the Superstar Shakeup next week. What's the point of the shakeup if anybody can show up on any show? Why are we even having this shakeup next week? And I'm wondering if they're just bringing Drew McIntyre out and Strowman, like we would see in a minute, just to test it, just to see how they looked in a SmackDown ring. Are they just trying to decide if they want to move these guys to SmackDown? Because I've been saying for a while that I think Drew should move to the SmackDown brand. So maybe this is WWE just getting an idea of what he will look like in a SmackDown ring. I don't know why that's so hard to imagine. It's the same thing as a Raw ring, except it's fucking blue. But they brought him out there, and it's interesting. Shout out to whoever it was in the chat on Sunday. We were actually talking about this during WrestleMania, that the Bar and Drew McIntyre's theme music is kind of similar, so it's interesting that they're teaming up here. They would go down, of course, in the main event. Sorry to fast forward to the end there, but it's not that eventful. New Day did defeat the Bar and Drew, and that was the end of that. So now we've got Drew McIntyre potentially on SmackDown, and next week we'll find out if he's going to stay there. We had a pretty interesting 6-man match on SmackDown with Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Ali. How about that fucking team? Holy shit. Taking on Nakamura, Rusev, and Andrade. And Black, Ricochet, and Ali got the win. And after the match, Randy Orton shows up and hits an RKO on Ali. And then as he's leaving the ring, Kevin Owens comes into the ring and hits Rusev with a stunner. What's that all about? And like I said a minute ago, Braun Strowman also made an appearance. Samoa Joe came out to interrupt a Carmella and R-Truth promo, beats up R-Truth, gets on the mic and says basically he can kick anybody's ass in the locker room, and out comes Braun Strowman. Where the fuck did he come from? So again, we've got a shakeup next week that seems completely pointless, because why do you even need a shakeup when you can shake shit up anytime you want? Am I not the only one that just thinks this is a complete fucking waste of time? Sorry to even rant on that, it's just ridiculous to me. But anyway, Strowman storms down to the ring, and how about the shape that this guy is in? I guess I haven't really noticed. I mentioned his abs earlier on. I guess I haven't really noticed his transformation, but Braun Strowman looks incredible. And I think maybe a move to SmackDown would be good for him too. I don't know if I want to see him and Drew both go to SmackDown, but one of them for sure. And maybe, just maybe, we haven't completely lost Braun Strowman, and there's hope for him yet. There was no real winner in the brawl. He did run off Samoa Joe. Joe did get the coquina clutch on him for a brief point, but I don't know if that's setting up a match or what the hell that even meant. But two big behemoths brawling, that's what pro wrestling pretty much is. We then had the Iconics, who of course won the tag team titles at WrestleMania. They successfully defended their titles on SmackDown against a pair of jobbers who were apparently undefeated or something like that. They win, and they cut to the back where you see Paige watching on the monitor, and Paige announces that next week on SmackDown, she's going to be bringing a team with her to contend for the tag team titles. So that's good, because I've been talking about Paige for a while. I've been mentioning her for the past few weeks. Why isn't WWE doing anything with her? I was really surprised that Alexa Bliss was the host of WrestleMania and not Paige. Now it looks like she'll be in a managerial role, I suppose, and she's bringing in a tag team next week on SmackDown. Can't wait to see what that's about, and I'm glad that they have something for Paige to do. We had a Shane McMahon promo up next. He's bragging about his victory over The Miz at WrestleMania. He is being a colossal douchebag, giving all sorts of shit to the ring announcer, Greg Hamilton. insisting that Greg gets his intro completely perfect. He makes him try several times until he actually grabs Greg by the tie and actually drags him up the aisleway to the stage and makes him do it again until finally he gets an acceptable one and he lets Hamilton go. So that was the whole segment there. I mentioned earlier that I think maybe Shane and Miz could battle again at Saudi Arabia, since that's where this issue started to begin with. I think that's very likely unless they move Miz to Raw or something like that. I guess we'll find out soon enough. We then get a tag team championship match. The Hardy Boys are challenging the Usos for the SmackDown tag team titles. Now, I noticed that in the Battle Royal, the Hardys are back to like their original year 2000 ring gear. You know, Matt Hardy was wearing the same shit that he did when the Hardys were a fresh team. It's cool to see them back, kind of in that getup. And I know a lot of people wanted to see the Hardy Boys versus the Usos at WrestleMania, and they gave it to us the Tuesday after WrestleMania instead, and the Hardy Boys won the titles. And I don't think they've won. I think they made some history winning those SmackDown titles as well. The Hardys have another run, man. It's 2019, and here they are winning the tag team titles again. The crowd popped hard. I'm happy to see it and everything. I'm just a big Usos fan as well, and I would have been fine with them not doing this at all. But the Hardys getting yet another run with the tag team belts. For nostalgia reasons, I'm not going to shit on it. I thought it was awesome. And after the match, they were attacked by Lars Sullivan. So now Lars Sullivan shows up on SmackDown. Beat the shit out of Kurt Angle the night before on Raw. Now he comes out there and beats the shit out of the Hardy Boys. And it's very reminiscent of Brock Lesnar when he debuted in 2002. He had that issue with the Hardy Boys. I think he even had a tag team match against them on a pay-per-view. He teamed with Paul Heyman against the Hardys, and I think they had a handicap match as well at some point. So I bet you they're going to do the same thing here with Lars Sullivan. So Lars is now on the scene. We don't know where he's going to be placed yet, hopefully next week. He's made an appearance on both shows, and I guess his deal for the time being is just to come out there and beat the shit out of people until the creative team finally actually gives him a direction, a clear direction, and someone to work with. Next up, we had another Becky Lynch promo. She got to come out Monday night on Raw and celebrate because she's the Raw champion, and now she gets to come out on SmackDown and celebrate because she's the SmackDown champion. And she mentioned in her promo that she's going to be doing double duty. She vows to be a fighting champion. She says she'll take on everyone, no matter who it is. Called out Lacey Evans for attacking her the night before. And as she's leaving, walking up the ramp, she's got her back turned, and Lacey clocks her with a punch right to the face. And Becky struggles to get up, and that's the end of that. So now that that's 2 nights in a row, Monday and Tuesday, that Lacey and Becky have mixed it up, that's probably going to be your match. So we'll get that announced, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. And we also had Sami Zayn coming out on SmackDown as well. He came out to the stage to cut a promo, but didn't say anything, just said it wasn't worth it and turned around and left. So I thought that was pretty funny. And I've already talked about the main event, so that's pretty much your SmackDown in a nutshell. And that's going to be a wrap on WrestleMania weekend. Holy shit. We have the Superstar Shakeup coming up next week. I would love to hear your predictions below. Who do you think can switch brands? There's a lot of guys I'd like to see moved around. I mentioned earlier that I'd love to see Drew McIntyre come over to SmackDown. Might even be cool to see AJ Styles move to Raw. I also think Randy Orton might move to Raw. Feels like he's been on SmackDown for a while. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they maybe shuffle him back to Monday Night Raw. Charlotte is going to have to be placed somewhere. She's been on SmackDown for a while. They might move her back to Monday Night Raw, or keep her on SmackDown as the Queen of SmackDown and move Asuka to Raw. And I also would not rule out the possibility of WWE swapping the world titles. I don't know if champions are exempt from the shakeup or not, but we've seen this in previous years during drafts. They have swapped the titles a couple of times, and maybe they want the Universal title on SmackDown for a while. You move Seth to SmackDown and move all of the New Day to Monday Night Raw. They might move Daniel Bryan to Monday Night Raw too. Wouldn't be surprised. So I think there's a lot of fun things here that they can do. But like I said earlier, what's the point of this fucking shakeup when it really means nothing? If WWE wants to take someone from one show and put them on another show, they can. They don't need a shakeup to do it. So this coming Monday, I actually will be here. I'm home for 1 day before I head to Hawaii. So I'll be up here live streaming on Monday, and we'll watch this shakeup together. Also, before I sign off here, I want to apologize for not discussing in detail the Ring of Honor New Japan show from Madison Square Garden on Saturday night. I have seen the results, and I've seen a couple of clips. I have not really gone through and watched the whole thing yet. I haven't had time, but I did see that Okada beat Jay White for the IWGP title, so he's got that back. And the ending was crazy when Enzo and Cass hopped the guardrail and started attacking everyone. And it was a very real-looking brawl with some extremely stiff shots being laid in. It was a total work, had to be. You know, there's no security doing anything about this shit. So I was surprised how many people thought it might be a shoot. And I'll be really interested to see the follow-up on all of that as well. And I am also recording this prior to NXT airing. So if anything I talked about earlier, mentioning NXT people that might be obsolete after the NXT show or tapings or whatever, so I apologize for that not really being up to date. But like I said, I am heading out of town for a few days, and I had to record this now. So thank you again, everybody. I sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I had a great WrestleMania weekend with all of you guys. It's always fun every year. I very much enjoy it, and I cannot thank you all enough for spending WrestleMania 35 weekend with me. Y'all be good. Take care. I will see you this Monday for my Monday Night Raw live stream and the Superstar Shakeup. Talk to you real soon. Until then, peace.
This has been a Good Mic Work Commentaries production. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/GoodMicWork. Follow Greg Morgan on Twitter at GoodMicWork and visit GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com for all the latest podcast and video content.